Dave Ramsey's anger is a kindness. He's passionate about helping people change their lives in personal finance, and so am I. Look, nobody should have to suffer financially when the knowledge is out there. It's free to share. And I love his approach. And after years of listening to him, I was delighted. I was fortunate enough to get a few minutes on air talking with Dave. So I'm going to share the recordings of that chat right here.
Welcome to the Entree Podcast. What's up?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
Well, Dave, I'm wondering if I should repay or rapidly pay down the mortgage on my first home, which it's now rental property. Now, I can afford to, but the rent that I'm earning is way more than the mortgage that I'm paying. And the interest rate I got in a few years ago, it's really low. And what I can actually earn in mutual funds or index funds in the stock market long term is way more than the rate that I'm paying. And I'd love to get your thoughts.
All right, look, here's the deal. Your number one wealth building tool is your income. All of the millionaires that we interview, unless they inherited the money, which is very, very few of them, less than 10% of them inherited the money, did it by saving and investing their income. They did not give their income to me.
Okay. Well, I put down 5% or 23,000. I fixed it up. I removed the private mortgage insurance, the PMI, and I renegotiated the insurance to bring the mortgage, including the principal payment, the interest, the insurance, and the taxes, from around about $3,000 a month to under $2,500 a month. Dave, I made $100,000 in equity. Actually, in the first year, it was a fixer-upper. And it's been a short-term rental for almost 5 years now. It's grossing about $10,000 a month on a $2,500 a month mortgage. Now, I said earlier, I locked in and it was actually at 3.25% interest rate there some time ago when interest rates were low. And I've been getting around about 10%, around 7 to 12 on average in the stock market funds for almost half a decade.
It's a mathematical thing. When you give your income to someone else, you don't have it anymore. Is this hard? This is hard, isn't it? And when you give your income away, you have given up your economic future. All for...
Oh, okay. I bought the fixer upper. It was just 460,000, and it's now worth about 650. And the tenants, I said, it's been there like the whole time for about 5 years, or I guess what you call them. They've been paying the mortgage for about 5 years now, and my stock market funds are way up because I didn't put too much cash into it in the first.
You shouldn't have done this. It was dumb.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's lousy, as you said. So I just wondered, Dave, if there'd be time, I really would love to ask you just one quick question. It's actually about a friend of mine who's a surgeon.
A PhD in DUMB.
Oh, okay, I guess. Well, he's earning about $750,000 a year, but he took out a student loan to get him through college. And that student loan, it amounted to about $300,000 in terms of debt. But he's recently paid it off, and he paid it off actually in 2 years with his high income. Now, his daughter actually is thinking about following in her father's footsteps, but she's actually an avid listener to your show, and she was wondering whether it's better to borrow to become a brain surgeon or to work at her current minimum wage job for maybe like the next 10 years.
Let me just tell you, here's the deal. Of the number of people that start college, how many graduate? 52%. That's an investment in my future. Said the other 48% that are sitting at home with no freaking degree, but by God, they got the student loan debt. And you know how you get rid of Sally Mae? You either pay her off in full or you die. That's the only way that woman goes away. It's not bankruptable. It is not an investment in yourself to borrow.
But it's just that like he's making about $750,000 a year as a brain surgeon. And I mean, she'd be lucky to pull in about 30,000 a year right now. She's serving in Chipotle just as an 18-year-old. And if she waits, that is, to go to college.
Even if it is an investment, we don't borrow money for investments. We don't borrow money for investments. I don't teach people to borrow money. The borrower is slave to the lender. That's what this math says. When you give up your income, when you give your income away, you have nothing. All the money comes in, all the money goes out.
Okay, yeah, I guess I hear you, but I mean, this is a student loan to invest in her becoming a neurosurgeon.
All because we called it an investment. I don't understand why it's bad. It's bad because it's stupid and you're normal. 70% of the Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That's stupid because you're living in one of the wealthiest countries the world has ever known, and there you sit like a rat in a wheel. Run, 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 run. Why? Because student loans are an investment.
Okay, about a $750,000 a year salary. I mean, she'd probably be able to pay off the loans, but at like $30,000 a year right now, she's in Chipotle. I mean, it's probably going to take her about 25 years to earn what her father is earning in just 1 year.
This is just stupid. It's stupid on steroids. Really, seriously, you've got to stop and think. The level of people's ability to do critical thought is almost zero. Good Lord.
Well, my net worth, it skyrocketed actually faster with my first few fixer-upper property purchases that I locked in with a 30-year fixed 3% interest rate. I fixed them up and I reappraised them to reduce and actually to get rid of the PMI, the private mortgage insurance. And they're both in Class A neighborhoods, so really good neighborhoods. And they've appreciated now with the market over a few years, as well as the forced appreciation that I've been able to basically write tens of thousands of dollars worth of depreciation off over the last few years. In fact, every year, not just the actual write-offs, right, but depreciation. So I'm in a much better position now than I would have been just investing in the stock market funds or waiting years on the sidelines to pay in cash and tying up my money where the opportunity cost was great, like 10% in the stock market versus just borrowing at 3%. So that was what catapulted me to a millionaire in half a decade.
I met with thousands and thousands of millionaires.
Okay, yeah, I know, but I'm also a millionaire. And while stock market funds helped, the biggest thing that jumped my net worth like fast was equity jumps from forced appreciation in real estate.
Where did you take your math class?
Cambridge University, Trinity College Dublin, the Northwestern University.
Really? This is absolutely ludicrous.
Well, maybe I should have paid cash for the properties like your students do, but I kept the cash actually so I could use it to furnish the properties. So they're each grossing about $10,000 a month. Am I hearing you right, Dave? Like, are you saying that it's better to buy properties with cash? Like your students do, like to buy their buildings?
Their building's bigger than yours, and their furniture's nicer than yours.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess I was in my 30s before I got started into real estate. I haven't been doing it for decades.
You ought to have a clue by now.
Well,
and you scratch your head and wonder why you're freaking broke.
well, I mean, I guess I could be better. I mean, I'm doing all right, like as a millionaire investor and a tenured professor.
God, no wonder no wonder your students have student loans.
Well, I guess I shouldn't tell you then about the Aston Martin then.
Because you're driving a dadgum $1 million car, $2 million, $3 million car.
Well, no, it's certainly not the Valkyrie.
That's what it's costing you with your stupid car payment to impress somebody at a stoplight that you will never meet, and the thing's going down in value like a rock.
Well, actually, I bought a 10-year-old collector car to use for networking that could have been an investment car, like the way the Ford GT doubled in value recently, as well as the Lamborghini Gallardo.
I mean, the number of people I've talked to just today.
Well, I mean, look, it was in the second last James Bond.
Stupid car.
I mean, I took it to Cars and Coffee and I met some business connections and I've been able to trade luxury timepieces with them for profit.
It's a car. Good God, it's a car. What does it do? It takes you from here to there.
Well, I guess, the good news is I sold it. I'm now just driving my 10-year-old Subaru. It's probably worth about maybe $10,000. And back in my home country of Ireland, that's where I'm from, by the way, I share a 21-year-old car, probably worth about 1 to 2,000 in dollars at this point.
Now, I don't mind you having a $25,000 car. All of my cars cost more than $25,000, but I freaking paid for them.
Actually, yeah, you know what? I did that. I cash actually.
And they're a very small
Okay.
percentage of my life, a very small percentage of my income. We have to stop and think, America. You have to think. Instead of sitting around eating Skittles and watching Oprah reruns. This is stupid. We're fat and we're broke.
Well, actually, I exercise daily at gymnastics. I'm a calisthenics athlete on the side, also a millionaire.
Because we have no ability to do critical thought and we don't stop and look at what we're putting into our lives.
Well, I also have an emergency fund. I believe in what you say. You know, I've maxed out all my retirement accounts by investing in the broad-based index fund. I've got the mutual fund equivalent, the VTSAX, and other equivalents in different accounts. But I have to admit, I do enjoy credit card points. And yeah, I know I could do a bit better, but they actually do pay for all my flights and much more. You know, so I get my Uber Eats and things like that and extra things. I just put my regular spending on them. I don't spend extra, like just for my business and personal. So, you know, I actually make more money from them than taking advantage of the system.
This is nuts. It's nuts. It's completely out of control.
Uh, okay.
Think, think, think. Seriously. So, credit cards, stupid. Stupid. Student loans, stupid. Car payments, stupid on steroids. Borrowing money on your house to put granite countertops in.
Actually, I did put countertops, now that you mention, into my rentals, but I borrowed at 0% interest rates on a 18 to 24-month terms, and I pay them off in full, like really, really quickly once the properties were rented.
Somebody ought to smack you.
That's what happened to Dan Pena, actually. His father, well, now that you say it, yeah, you got a point because, I mean, he has created trillions of dollars in equity.
That's stupid. It's stupid. You have to stop and think again. It's because you're killing yourself. You make enough money to retire a millionaire or a multimillionaire. You make enough money that your kid ought to have a college fund fully funded and they can go to school without being part of the freaking student loan crisis. But by God, you had to have a bass boat, so you're $32,000 in debt.
Well, I don't own a boat.
Because those fish were outrunning you. God, think, think, think. Quit being grown-up children walking around in grown-up bodies. Children walking around in grown-up bodies. Adults devise a plan and follow it. Children do what feels good.
Hello, Dave? I think I'm muted now. Are you there?
This ridiculous, impulsive nature of we think we're going to borrow our way into wealth it's out of control, guys. We've got to stop this. It's killing you. It's killing you. While I'm sitting over here piling up money like it's dadgum nothing, and some of you are sitting there broke.
Dave, I think you've muted me.
Oh, jeez, I'm going to kill you. Seriously. I'm going to go borrow and get a student loan and invest in myself. Yeah, you're going to spend $140,000 and go in debt and get a degree in freaking left-handed puppetry.
Well, it was $300,000 to become a neurosurgeon.
That's just dadgum stupid. It's just stupid. You have to think, people. You have to think. Quit giving your most powerful wealth-building tool away. It's your income. You're making everybody else rich. Think.
Okay, guys, that wasn't an actual conversation with Dave. That was just some clever editing. But if you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, he's the second largest nationally syndicated talk show with about 20 million weekly listeners. So look, he's really made things. And he's helped countless Americans escape debt, change their financial destiny, and retire with dignity. It's fantastic. And look, he's totally legit. I love his baby steps. In fact, I love them so much that I have followed them for a long time, and I've taught them as well as an application of decisions under uncertainty in economics. He really wants to help people, and he really has helped people. He's done the world a tremendous service. And look, most people, they hear debt, and you're thinking credit cards, car payments, and Dave Ramsey says, avoid debt, and for consumer debt, he is right. But look, this is just my own opinion, and here's my truth that maybe like nobody wants to talk about, but debt is bigger than money. Now you can be debt free on paper, but you can be still drowning in things like time debt, energy debt, health debt, and relationship debt. So let me tell you guys, I want to help you by widening the lens, right? Because it's broader than just debt on paper, financial debt. Now, I totally respect Dave's discipline. And if you're buried in consumer debt, then the gazelle intensity that he stresses, this can save your life, right? You're just focusing. Honestly, it's a bit like Dan Pena, focus on the few, right? And it's like almost like Tony Robbins says, where attention goes, energy flows. So the only thing I'd say is that avoiding financial debt is not the finish line. The real goal is to avoid all forms of toxic debt. That's what I would say anyway. Like anything that borrowers, or rather anything that borrows from tomorrow to feel good today. Now, let me break it down. The first thing I'd say is time debt. So, this is like saying yes to everything, right? Yes Man, there's a movie about that, right? So saying yes to everything, you're essentially borrowing hours from your future, and you're going to pay it back with stress and missed priorities, right? Just saying yes to everything. That's time debt. Now, it can be a little bit, if you're a people pleaser, maybe the way you were brought up, etc., maybe that's something you got to deal with. An extra debt would be like, number 2, attention debt. Now, here is where you're doom scrolling. You all do this, right? We're looking at our phones, and you just going at your phone. The solution for this is turning off notifications. I do, maybe friends, loved ones have to wait. But even doing something like having a half-hour window twice a day to check your emails. 12 to 12:30, 6 to 6:30. Outside that, don't check your emails. Otherwise, you get stuck into work. So notifications, like endless tabs, having lots of tabs on your computer, you need to knock them all off, right? Technology can be great, but it can also be the bane of your existence. You rent out your focus, essentially, for pennies, and you pay back with shallow work. So your attention is too scattered. Now, a third thing, and a lot of us are true with this, a majority of people are true with this. This is like health debt. And this can be skipping sleep. I'm definitely an example of that. I skipped sleep a lot as a PhD student in grad school. That's when I started skipping sleep. But maybe you're working very hard and this affects you. But moving around, right? Like skipping movement, skipping exercise. We all don't do that, right? Sometimes I should hit the gym. A lot of the times when I'm being really productive, I'm not getting my exercise in. And also real food. This is the worst for me. I suck at cooking. I think it's more of a mental thing. I know I'm never going to be Gordon Ramsay, but I think it's a mental thing. Maybe it's a guy thing. I just don't like cooking, and I really do skip on having real food. But you pay back, especially as you get older. And, the interest that you pay is fatigue. And that's interest you pay now. But in the future, you're going to be paying medical bills. So now is interest, future is medical bills. Now, a fourth debt is something like skill debt, not learning the thing that your future demands. Whether that's sales, I think sales are a great skill. Coding, now ChatGPT is taking some of that over, but I do think like if you can do a bit of coding, that can help, even the problem solving. Leadership. We all need some kind of leadership, especially if you want to escape the 9 to 5. Look, you're going to repay with limited options and lower income. Now, another type of debt would be relationship debt. Withholding hard conversations. We all need to have them. And I'm guilty of this, and maybe you are too, but you're just saving the discomfort, the unpleasantness today, but you're going to pay with resentment. Resentment really is the death of a relationship. That's where the timer comes in. And you're going to pay as well with distance tomorrow. The final debt is integrity debt. These are tiny compromises that we make. And, we can do this in business, we can do this in relationships, but you're overpromising and you're under-delivering. The interest that you pay is reputation. Reputation is slow to earn, but it's fast to lose. It could take 20 years to build reputation and 5 minutes to lose it. Warren Buffett knows that, and he really, really focuses on maintaining his reputation. He's done wonderfully well based on that, as well as his hard work ethic and his brain. But reputation and integrity is what got Warren Buffett to where he is today. So look, here's my personal operating system I'm going to share with you guys. Try to eliminate toxic debt first. So again, this could be money, as Dave Ramsey talks about, but it could also be time or attention. If it doesn't compound in your favor, then cut it out. Only take on strategic debt with a clear cash flow plan and downside protection. Pay back all debts daily. And, in terms of your time, calendar your priorities. In terms of attention, just one screen, one task at a time. Focus on the few, not the many. In terms of health, you gotta get your sleeping in. You gotta lift or exercise, and you gotta walk. In terms of relationships, really important one, just try one honest conversation that you're avoiding. I mean, Tony Robbins does this at some of his seminars, and it really changes people's lives. And in terms of skills, like Alex Hormozy here, but just one focused hour of learning. And if Dave Ramsey helped you kill the credit cards, then good. But now go further and audit every debt in your life. Ask yourself, when am I borrowing from tomorrow? Look, this week, pick one toxic debt. It could be financial or not, and just kill it. I really want you guys to benefit from this, right? If only one of you benefits, then this video is worth me making. Just choose that one toxic debt, and then choose one strategic debt, a skill, a project, an asset, and fund it with focused effort. So focus in on that skill. Maybe you want to learn coding, a project, maybe you're getting into real estate, an asset, maybe you're investing in the stock market, and focus on it. That's how you get truly debt-free. I've done it, personal experience. I love talking and teaching from personal experience more than theory. So I agree wholeheartedly with most of Dave's advice. He's a legend, right? But that's just my insight and my personal take. So I'd love to know from you, what do you think? I'd love to know in the comments below. And remember guys, you don't have to be perfect. You can build your wealth one step at a time. And I'll see you in the next one.